In the book of Hebrews, you find an apparent theme there, and the theme there is better. It speaks to Jesus. It's better, greater authority, better than the angels, better than Abraham, better than Moses, better than Joshua, better than any high priest. And so if I say something's better, if you say something's better, that means it brings more. If I said, I'm better than Michael Jordan, I'd have to have more game than he's got. Come on. I'd have to have more athleticism than he is. I'd have to be faster. I'd have to jump higher. I'd have to have more skill. Better. And when Jesus came, he came with that which was better than any that was ever before. When you say the word more means greater in extent or degree. The extent of what it is greater. The degree of what it is greater. And the Bible speaks of God, it speaks of him. One of his name is El Shaddai. Yes, sir. Which means what? More than enough. Yes, sir. God is more than enough. Now, two scriptures here I'm bringing to your attention, both in the book of Romans. One is Romans 5:20. It says, moreover, the law entered that offense might abound, but where sin did abound, grace did much more abound. So where sin did abound, and sin is great. Now the Bible said that where sin did abound, grace of God, his unmerited favor, did much more abound. So God's grace was greater than the sin. He brought more. He did much more abound. The second scripture, Romans 5:10 says, if when we were enemies, we were reconciled to God by the death of his son. So it says that when we were enemies to Christ, we didn't serve him. We didn't walk before him. Yet, when we were enemies, we were reconciled by the death of Jesus Christ. So he reconciled us unto him. He opened the door for our salvation when he died for us at his death. But then he goes on to say, much more being reconciled, we shall be saved by his life. So we're saying the death of Christ was one thing, but the life of Christ is much more. Yes. And if you go through scripture, we preach Christ and him crucified. The Bible said unto the Jews, it's a stumbling block. Unto the Greeks, it's foolishness. Sometimes you can tell people about Jesus, they think you're crazy talking. But unto the Jews, it's a stumbling block. Unto the Greeks, it's foolishness. But unto us, who are called both Jews and Greek, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God. For Paul said, I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, because it's the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believes, unto the Jew first and also to the Greek. So he said the gospel has power to save. Yes. And the gospel is the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So great was the power of his death. And we always talk about the death of Christ. But we can't rank and we're not even trying to rank the death of Christ second to the life of Christ or anything else. But what he's saying here, he said much more than what he's saying here. He said that there's a greater excellency of glory that is in the life of Christ than there was in the death of Christ. So the scripture says much more. Being reconciled, we shall be saved by his life. But before we go there, let's talk about the death of Christ first. And then we'll talk about the life of Christ. We talk about the death of Christ, it's that the death of Christ that reconciled, because the Bible said we were being enemies to God,